Hello, welcome back to another video. I am Teddy, aka Teddy Bear XD, and today I'm going to be bringing you kind of the initial impressions for the recently announced Jungle Cup. So for this cup we've got normal, electric, grass, and bug. So I'm going to be using PvPoke for most of my analysis. I use this resource quite a bit. I've found their rankings of the best Pokemon are very good, and they also provide good matchups for kind of battles, simulating battles. I've found it's very helpful. I'll leave that link in the description for you. So let's go ahead and jump right into the top Pokemon here. So the first Pokemon we see here at the top is Forretress. A lot of you are going to be familiar with Forretress as it was one of the better ones in Rainbow Cup. One thing I will mention about this cup is that there is no fire type, or no prominent fire type. I don't really see any fire types here. So it's going to be one of the best ones because it won't get extremely hard countered by any one thing. It does get a bit countered by the flying types just because their recommended moveset does not include Rock Tomb. You can run Rock Tomb, obviously, to take care of that. You will be either sacrificing Earthquake, which is great coverage for the electric types, or Heavy Slam, which is a big neutral hitting move, since Forretress is Steel type as well. So you see it does, obviously, like in the Rainbow Cup, counter the grass types. Does very well against them and doesn't really need to block many of their moves. And also does fairly well against the bug types, as Forretress is bug and steel, so we'll get resistances there against bug and poison types. So one of the best picks here in the meta. Second one, Vigoroth. So Vigoroth was a pretty popular pick in the national tournament in Chicago this past weekend, and for good reason. Counter it has access to, and it's one of the best moves in the meta, and also will allow it to do super effective damage to other normal types, assuming that their typing is just normal and not a flyer, but still does a lot of damage either way. Body Slam is a great charge move. It gets the same type attack bonus as well as not costing too much energy. So it's very spammable and does a pretty good amount of damage. You will most likely also want to run Bulldoze, as it does well against the rock types and the electric types, which are going to be fairly common in the meta. You can see Magnezone here, Magneton, Raichu. You want to have Bulldoze for your second move if you're going to run Vigoroth. So Vigoroth is very good. It's actually fairly tanky and it does a good amount of damage. So that's another very strong pick. Third one, which saw a little bit of play in Nationals as well, is Noctowl. Wing Attack will charge pretty quickly, and Sky Attack is just a great move overall. Does a lot of damage to anything that's not electric. Now it does specify Nightshade here. I'm not so sure about Nightshade. I think Psychic would also be just as acceptable. Most of the time you're going to throw Sky Attack anyway, so that doesn't matter a whole lot. But Nightshade or Psychic I think would be fine. Your flying type moves will take care of the bugs, so even if it is bug and poison, Psychic won't really be necessary because you'll already have Sky Attack, and Sky Attack costs a lot less to use. Obviously, you do need to be careful of the electric types. They completely wall Noctowl, and Noctowl will basically not be able to do anything against them, since flying does nothing against electric, and they'll basically just be able to farm you up. So you will need to bring some sort of counter if you're going to run Noctowl for the electric types. But overall, it is a very, very good attacker and defender, as you can see here. So it's a very strong pick in this meta. Next, we have the two rock types here. Alolan Golem and Alolan Graveler. Obviously, 2 ranks higher is Alolan Golem, so it will be the better pick, but they are pretty comparable, as they both have Rock Throw and Rock Blast. One has Wild Charge and one has Thunderbolt, so fairly comparable. Golem looks better defender and attacker here, as well as a closer and a lead, so it beats out Graveler basically by at least a point in every category. But Rock Throw is a very good fast move, and then having the Rock Blast and the Wild Charge just does a lot of damage, and you completely wall flyers. As you can see, it beats Noctowl, and it'll beat most of the bug types as well. The only reason why it doesn't beat Fortress and Scizor quite as well is because they have Steel type moves, and Steel type moves will do super effective damage because Golem is rock as well. So I'll go ahead and skip Graveler since it's pretty comparable and move on to Magnezone. So electric types are going to be good in this meta. They're going to do a lot of damage, and specifically Magnezone is good because it is also Steel type, so it'll kind of resist quite a bit of moves that are going to be thrown by the top meta. You can see it does counter Noctowl pretty hard, does counter Fortress pretty hard, even counters Alolan Graveler, and I'm assuming the Alolan Golem just not quite as well. So you're gonna want to run Spark and Wild Charge and Flash Cannon for some coverage against the rock types as well. Zap Cannon is just not as good as Wild Charge, and you want the Flash Cannon to cover other things. So as you can see, it's a very high defender just because it doesn't take a ton of damage from anything that much except ground and fighting, which is why you see Vigoroth here, because it's got counter and bulldoze as well. So it is a strong pick. You will need to be careful. Look, we've got over 800 battle rating for these 4 here, which means they counter it pretty hard. You're going to want to be careful of specifically those right there, but it is a very good overall pick. Then you've got a couple bug types here. Scizor does have the same typing as Fortress, but with a bug type charge move instead. So Fury Cutter charges very fast. Bullet Punch is an option as well. It'll do well against the rock types, but Fury Cutter charges so quickly, and you're going to want to run X-Scissor and Iron Head again for the rock type coverage. So you do get beaten by obviously Noctowl since you're a bug type, and you're not going to do very much damage with Fury Cutter or X-Scissor. Iron Head will do okay, but just not enough to counter it. And also the electric types here. Bug's not going to be very effective against electric types, so that's the only reason those counter you, but overall, really not that many great counters, so it is a fairly well balanced bug type, similar to Fortress here, but does have some different matchups Obviously beats all the grass types, similar to Fortress and the bug types. It does counter because it is steel type as well. And Vespiquen is a little different. Since you're running, it does recommend X Scissor and Power Gem. Bug Buzzle is just not quite as good as X Scissor, and it's a bug move as well. Power Gem will allow you a little bit of flexibility dealing with flying types, which will counter Vespiquen. Obviously Noctowl is the one you're going to be worried about the most. You do counter Vigoroth and Scizor, interestingly, and as well as a couple of the grass types, and Alolan Raticate, because Bug is good against Dark as well. So you do get countered by the rock types here. Obviously having bug moves and rock moves, you're not going to do much to them, and rock is good against bug, so you will get punished pretty hard by the rock types. As you can see, it's over 700 for all of these counters right here. So you're going to want to bring something to counter the rock types as well. So you can see the bug types are pretty well rounded. They've got some different counters and some different things that they counter, just depending on what the typings are. So we'll get down here to Beedrill. It is a great defender. The other stuff it's not quite as good at, but does do well against the grass types, running Poison Jab and X Scissor and Sludge Bomb. Sludge Bomb will do well against the bug types, and X Scissor will be same type attack bonus as well as Sludge Bomb, so they both do a pretty good amount of damage. Again, you will get countered by the rock types because neither of these do that much damage against rock. You do get countered by Fortress, again, because neither of these will do very good against steel. But it is a very good Pokemon as well. So those 4 bug types, I would recommend running one of them at least. Running one of these, I would say probably both of those. Vigoroth is good generally, and Noctowl will help you cover the bug types and the grass types. Then I'd probably run a rock type as well, just because they're good against both the flyers and the bug types and don't take that much damage against them. So I think either of those, honestly, will be very good against most of the meta. And then we've got the grass types here. Obviously the top one by far is Venusaur. And then the next one down will be Cradily and then Ivysaur. So Venusaur by far the best grass type, unsurprisingly. Almost any meta it's going to be in, it's going to be one of the best grass types. So recommendation, just like the other cups, will be Vine Whip, Frenzy Plant, Sludge Bomb. It does get countered by bug types and confusion users here, but it does counter the electric types and the rock types, as well as having good matchup against Vigoroth. So that's one important thing. It will resist Vigoroth's fast move, which is counter, and Body Slam will do an okay amount. Bulldoze will do an okay amount as well. There's nothing it has that will counter it too hard, and you do a lot of damage with those Frenzy Plants. So it does get counters right there. So this is a very good pick against the top roughly 10 Pokemon that are in this meta. So it's a very solid pick. So Pidgeot's another one similar to Noctowl here, with Wing Attack and Brave Bird, as well as Aerial Ace. Brave Bird does a lot of damage, but costs a little more energy, and Aerial Ace does a little less, while costing less energy. So it's another good flyer. Gets countered by the same things, counters the same things. So it's another option for Noctowl as well. And the other things, so Lantern's one that I like in a lot of metas. Water Gun does so much damage to anything it touches, really. The only thing you're going to be worried about, really, is the grass types. But it does counter Fortress and Noctowl and Golem and Magnezone and Graveler, which are right up here. So if you having one Pokemon that counters the top 5 is very strong. The only thing you will need to be afraid of is the grass, so that is probably one I'll put in my team, honestly. And then as you go down, you kind of see Pokemon that are similar to the top 10 or 15 here, and do roughly the same thing as those top Pokemon, just a little less well. So I would recommend, at least for the start of the meta until it smooths out here, running your team roughly in this top 15. I would run Lantern as well as an electric type here and a bug type and Vigoroth and Noctowl, or you can run Pidgeot. I think they're fairly comparable, but I would think Noctowl would be better here, as well as running a rock type, and I would recommend Golem. So just for initial, I mean, we've got another 12 days till we can even start tournaments here, so that's just my initial thoughts on what the best Pokemon would be. Obviously PvPoke has set it out here, but I think so far they've been pretty accurate in their rankings throughout the tournaments. Just let me know what you think about the initial thoughts here, what you think the best Pokemon will be in the Jungle Cup, and what your team would be if you were to do a tournament today. And thank you for watching. Go ahead and drop a like for me, and I will see you guys later.